Woodturners, along with being the president of which other group?
Lake Erie Woodturners.
Lake Erie.
It's a group I started about 2.5 years ago.
Were they at Erie?
Erie.
We meet in northeast Ohio, which Lake County, Ashtabula County. We're right next door to the nuclear power plant. You can't miss us. When you leave, you don't need any lights because you glow.
So I'm Ron's an excellent turner of bowls and other such, and I have enjoyed watching some of his demos and seeing what he does. So, Ron, with any further ado, go ahead.
Oh, and also, yeah, so the bowl he turns is going to
Oh,
also
yes.
be part of the raffle?
Yes.
The bowl I turn, I'm going to give to the club, and you do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
I
That would be the other
have,
raffle prize.
We do have a blank of his in our raffle. So.
I brought 3 blanks, because you never know, something could go wrong.
Yes.
And, but hopefully I'm only gonna need 1, and I'm not going home with the other 2. So those belong to the club too. So if you like this demo, you'll have 2 blanks there to get started with. First I wanna thank Becky for inviting me, and all of yous for having me here. I'm not all that special, really. I was invited to this club several years ago, and maybe you can refresh my memory what year that was Mike Trucco did that. You know? If anybody remembers, please let me know, 'cause
What, the demo that you were last year in?
no. I was invited here by Dave Dudney. I've never been to this club when you were meeting at the art store.
Yeah, that was done in like 2018.
Okay, and it had longer than that. Much longer than
17,
that.
I think it was.
No, longer than that, because I've been turning hats for
Okay.
almost 8 years, and the very first hat I ever saw turned in my life was by Mike Trucco at this club at the art store.
That was 16 then.
Okay, that could be.
Yeah, Mike Trucco was 16.
All right, how ironic, Mike Trucco just sent me a text this morning, "Hey Ron, when you get a chance, give me a call." I says, "I'm at the club where I met you and you did a hat." I guess Becky said I was the vice president of North Coast Woodturners for 5 years. I'm now the president. My term runs out December 31st. Thank God.
Where's mine? I don't see any volunteers.
What we did was we created a new position. It's a board appointed position. It's called Program Coordinator. I will not be part of the board. I will not have any voting powers. All I got to do is the scheduling, and it's so much easier for me. It's been fun, but you know, and I know everybody hates this, but I have 2 safety tips that I'm going to stress today. And I do this at every demo. So those who are bored, go out in the store or something. Number 1, everybody has a cell phone today, at least most people. And usually I make everybody hold them up. I say, now that you got it in your hand, turn it off. But I won't go that far, okay? Your cell phone, keep it on your person. Wood turning is a solitaire type hobby for the most part. I mean, very seldom do you have a group like this where if I get hurt, I got 30 people that are going to call 911. If I'm at home alone and something happens, I'm laying on the floor and my cell phone is on the desk or up on the lay somewhere, I can't even get up to call for help. It's only happened to me once. It was while I was turning a hat, and it was a stupid mistake. It was my fault. But that piece of wood, it's only sandwiched between the faceplate and the tail saw. It weighed about 65 pounds, and it came off the lathe and knocked me out. Everybody says, how long were you out? I don't know. I didn't look at my watch on the way down. But I got up, and I'm on blood thinners, you know, and the first thing oh my God, you know, I didn't even really know where I was. I walked over to, I have a medicine cabinet, and looked in the mirror, looking for no blood. Whew. At least I don't have to go to the hospital. And I had a whole pile of shavings that were up to my knees that I fell on. Keep your phone on your person. I have mine in my pocket right here. So if I did go down and there was nobody here, hopefully I could reach in my pocket and pull it out. That's number one. And if you notice today, I'm wearing a sleeveless vest for a spot. I used to have one that was about 3/4 length. And don't ask me how it happened, because I don't know. Somehow or another, it caught my sleeve. I got very lucky. Only thing I can remember is my arm hitting the tool rest and my sleeve was gone. I mean, it literally ripped it right off my smock. When I took the smock off, it was just all shredded. So, you know what? If you're gonna wear long sleeves, elastic around the wrist, something. I know a lot of people say gloves are no good. You know what? I disagree with that. I think as long as the glove is a snug fit, I usually wear a golf glove because they're very tight. And I mean, I've many a times put my hands on there and it's never grabbed it. So anyway, keep your cell phone on you and watch your sleeves. Especially don't wear ties or anything. Of course, most of you already know that. All right, today I'm going to turn a bowl into a ball, or attempt to. There's a couple different tools that I'm going to use here, and did somebody have a question or something? I thought I heard something. Okay, no? There's a couple tools that I'm going to use today, and while I use them, I'll explain them, and I'll tell you where I got them and why I think they're pretty good. My drive center right here is very similar to a faceplate, but it's got 3 points on it. The outer two are threaded. I know the people on this side of the room can't see it, but you can check it out before you leave or whatever. 2 of them are threaded, the 2 outer ones are threaded, the center one is not. The center one sticks out about 1/2 inch. And what I like about that is most of the time, unless you put it in a planer or something, your face is not straight, it's not true. You cut it with a chainsaw. I cut this with a chainsaw, and I cut it as close as I could with a bandsaw, and that's it. So it's contacting on 3 points that's driven into the wood. It will drive this piece of wood, and I really, even if I got a catch, I can't see it spinning on those 3 points. The first one's in there by a good 1/4 inch or more, and these are in by a good 1/8 inch, 3/16 of an inch. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, at least I hope not. But that's one of the, and I got that from Todd Raines in Texas. It's called the woodturningstore.com. Very reasonably priced. He's got 3 different sizes. And actually, this is his demo. I got this from Todd Raines. And I've talked to Todd all the time, and I asked him, I said, do you mind if I do that demo with a couple clubs? So that's why I'm there. I've done it a few times, a few different clubs. First time I've ever used a Laguna, so I got there we go. I've heard a lot about these lathes. Nothing bad. When I bought my Powermatic, Ron Damon was the owner of the woodwork store in Columbus at the time, and I asked him, because our price is reasonable, and it was a lot less than the Powermatic I bought from him. And I asked him, I said, you know, tell me, honestly, compare it. And he says, to be honest with you, Ron, he said, they're brand new. He said, so I can't give you an honest opinion. He said, Powermatics have been a proven machine for years. He said, these, they came out, this is 5-6 years ago. He said, they came out last year. So far, the ones we've sold, none of them have come back. But all right, all I'm really going to do here is start shaping a ball. I don't think I have to explain to anybody how to do that. So I have to put a tenon on this. We got to turn it around, and we got to hollow it out just like any other ball. And you know, there's a whole lot of ways to do just about everything. This is just my way. It's not necessarily the right way. You might have a better way, or and I love turning wet wood. That's the only thing I don't like about it. You can stop almost any machine with wet wood. You can take off a pretty big cut.
How wet is that? I mean, how long ago did you cut that?
Well, I actually just cut the branch Monday or Tuesday. But the gentleman that I got it from said the tree had been down for about 6 months. All right, but I took it out of the center of the log too.
Good.
I think it's maple, but he says it's not, but he couldn't remember what it was. So,
Ron, do you need the overhead light, that arm light?
you need it on?
No, do you need it?
No, I don't need it.
Just swim it out of the way?
Yeah, sure.
The other way.
That's
The other way?
That's how the
There you
kids
go.
do now.
Okay.
all right, guys?
Now, this bowl is designed to be a round bottom bowl. And I had a guy, is there anybody from the Erie Club here? Because I had a guy come in one day and he says, if you want to put a bottom on it, you put it on now. Well, that's not true. Because this bowl that's on the outside is not going to be the one that's centered. You'll see when we get there. But I mean, I brought 2 ordinary bowls as a sample, just to give you an idea what we're talking about here. When you set these in the cupboard, most of the time, and you notice they're both the same, and that's what we're going to try to duplicate here. The first one that goes in the cabinet is perfectly straight, if your cabinet's straight. And the second one that goes in, you throw in any way that it'll sit on top. Okay? If we turn this bowl like this, when I turn this to do the second bowl, if I put the bottom on now, that's the way the bottom's going to go on. That's the way it's going to sit. This one will be straight, but the bottom one won't. And I had a guy, I mean, he argued, no, you're wrong, okay, do me a favor, go home and do it. I hope you're right. Maybe you could teach me something. Now, one of these, I think it's out there, if not, it's in my box. I did put a flat bottom on one, just because I wanted to see if I could do it. Well, you can do it. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can use a vacuum chuck and try to get that first one lined up as close as you can, then put the bottom on it. Or you could put make sure it's straight, put it on some sort of a jam chuck where the center bowl can get recessed all the way in, and the outer bowl that you're trying to put the bottom on is square. So it is possible. I did it. And again, I think it should be one of those on the table there. And I know somebody's going to say you're not supposed to move your toe rest while it's moving. And you're right. I just keep forgetting because that's what I do at home all the time. I think we all do. You know, it's funny because if you have an accident, you won't do that again for 2 or 3 months. And then 2 or 3 months later, you get used to it again and no big deal, you know? But as soon as you do it, you won't do it for a while. And basically all I'm trying to do is true that up a little bit. Let's see, I did forget to bring my center fiber ruler, but that's all right. I need a 10 and about 3 1/4, so that's what, 1 5/8, right? Yeah. So right about there. And I have my center fine ruler all marked, notched out for everything. I just put it up there, put my pencil in there, turn it on, and away it goes. But it never fails. You always forget something when you go to a demo, always. And what I did yesterday, and I usually do, is I did one of these in my shop yesterday. As soon as I got done with a tool, I put it in my toolbox. So I know when I come here, every tool that I used is in that box. But somehow, I have a bad habit. I set something down, I can't find it. Now my jaws are all dovetail jaws. And I use a 40/40 grind to finish up my dovetail, my tenon. I'll show you that in just a little while here. I'm going to try to remember to turn it off to move this. Especially because I'm not familiar with this lathe. This length started out at, I think, about 8 1/4, something like that. And what we're trying to do, trying to get accomplished here, is we need this to be completely spherical. Just like that. This is cut out for the tenon, okay, but it has to be spherical. I did this with a compass. You can use Luan, 1/4-inch ply, heavy cardboard, whatever you want. Just put the compass on there, draw your circle, cut it out. And that's a half a sphere. This is a smaller one, it's 7 inches, but if you put those two together, it'd make a perfect circle. Okay? And the only reason you have to do that, and I'm just trying to get some kind of an idea of what I'm looking at here. The reason you have to do that is because when we put it in a cup chuck that we'll get to, if it's not spherical, it's not going to fit in that cup chuck right, it's not going to turn true. And if it doesn't turn true, then you get this. Notice one side of the bowl is very small, and they're thin, and the other side is wider. That's because when I put it in that cup chuck, it wasn't anywhere near true. But you can look at this too and see it's not a sphere. I kind of did this intentionally because the first 3 I did came out okay, and I wouldn't be able to show anybody, so I did this intentionally. I literally made it so that it would be off like that. And, you know, like that sign up there says, you can tell somebody anything. Did they learn? No. Show them, teach them, you know, come and do it, you'll learn. Like, don't wear long sleeves around the lathe. Let it happen one time. Now, I'll tell you what, when that piece of wood came off that lathe and hit me, I have no idea what happened. And like I said, it was such, I did it again. It was such a stupid mistake. I had a flaw in the hat, and I always make my blanks a lot bigger than I need, so I can move the hat one way or the other if need be. Well, I needed to move the hat down. This is wet wood. And I've got a nub on here that's only about that big around, and it got to be 2 inches long, which was stupid. I should have, when I got to an inch, I should have cut it off, moved my tailstock up, and started again. But, well, just one more cut. Famous words. That was it. Boy, that nub broke off. Like I said, it's wet wood. It's soft. You could take your hand and break it off if you wanted to. So
Face
it's,
shield on?
huh?
Did you have a face shield
No.
on?
And that's a very controversial thing. I don't believe in face shields. I wear safety glasses. I took, even though my regular glasses, prescription glasses are safety glasses. These are safety glasses and they're bifocal. I buy them at Lowe's. Again, like I said, I'm on blood thinners. And if that face shield hits, if something 65 pounds hits that face shield's not gonna stop nothing. And my thinking is, if it shatters that plastic or breaks that plastic and that plastic pokes into my face, I'll bleed to death before the ambulance gets there. You know? So, I'm trying to, was it Hunter at the North Carolina Symposium, he was demonstrating there, and he was talking about face shield, and he says, I'm gonna wear it because the AAW requires it for me to demonstrate it. He said, but I really don't believe in these things. I'm surprised he got away with that, but he did. Of course, will they ever invite him again? I don't know. But he does not believe in them, and for the same reason that I don't. I just don't think they're going to do any good. If you're turning pens, yeah, piece of wood that little bit, like it comes flying off, it's going to hit your shield and bounce off, guaranteed. But in this wood, I just strictly preference, right or wrong. Like I said, I'm not saying my way is the right way. It's my way. Okay, we are getting closer. And I didn't need this big a notch in here, but I just wanted it out of my way, because if I wanted to, I could go all the way down with this to know that it's exactly spherical. I have several different sizes here. I think I start from 5.5 up to, and only because when you start turning these, you don't know if you're gonna find some kind of flaw in it and not be able to make it the size you want, so you gotta make a smaller one. Well, I didn't want to run and find a piece of, get a compass up and remake another one, so I just made them all at once when I had nothing else to do. Of course, I got a girlfriend that always said, they could have done this, or you could have done, this needs to be done. I said, you don't have to keep reminding me every 6 months. I guarantee I'll do it. And this is obviously not the way to get a finished cut. I'm just trying to hog away some wood right now. Not bad. Keep forgetting. Is Dave Dudley here today, by the way?
No, he called me, he said he couldn't make it. Sorry, Ron.
Oh, I just, actually, that was the first, I don't know how he ever, hey, Ron, you want to come to the club? He didn't even tell me what the demo was. He just said, you know, and,
I told you to pick whatever you wanted to do.
but, well, I don't, you know what, I would do a hat, but I gotta be honest with you, I can't do it fast enough. Mike Trucco can do it in 2.5 hours. Chris Ramsey, Johannes Michelson can do it in less than an hour and a half.
You mean a mini hat?
No, full size.
Full size.
Full size?
Full size. Huh?
See how a man, 'cause it
I'm
don't be a hell of a
telling you.
longer hat.
Chris Ramsey, I took his class at his studio in Kentucky. My God, it was better than a 5-star hotel. The only thing we didn't have was room service. But I said to him, he told me one day he made 4 hats in a day. I said, that's what, about 24 hours? He says, no, he said, I did it in 8.
I can't make one in 24 hours.
Neither can I. Why do you think I raised the price of mine? No, actually, lately, I've been selling them faster than I can make them. I've got one at home that I just turned yesterday, the day before yesterday. I have to go to her brother's ceremony. When our equipment manager at North Coast, Tom Wisniewski, passed away. And they're gonna bury his ashes Wednesday. And she's buying one for her significant other. They're from Colorado, so it should be dry enough by Monday for me to put the
That's
finish.
that's not time for bending and everything, there, right?
Oh, the bending's, it's in the bender now.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I did it 2 days ago. It's been in the vendor for 2 days.
Right.
Yeah, Mike Trucco, I don't remember how long it took when he did the demo here, but I know the first blank, he had a problem with it. We took a break and he had to put another blank on, and he finished that one. He did a demo at Woodworks in Columbus, and they timed him, and it was 2 hours and 27 minutes.
That's insane.
Yeah, I can't do it. The best I've ever done is 3 hours and 45 minutes, and that was when I was in my shop by myself and nobody was talking to me, and I had a timer going, and I was intentionally rushing.
Wow.
And I did do it, I think it was 3.5, 3:35, something like that. Yeah, there's Johannes Michelson. I mean, he takes his calipers and he measures the thickness of the brim while it's running at 600 RPM. And I said, man, aren't you afraid of something getting caught? And, you know, so I've been doing this for years. Okay.
Famous last word.
Yeah. But you know what? Johannes Michelson is a good friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. Lives in Vermont. He keeps inviting me up there, but I heard when he gives you lunch, he hands you a can of tuna and a can opener. I don't need that. But I called him up one day, and I had written a Facebook post, and I said in the post, displaying one of my hats that I had just turned, I said, I'm very fortunate in that I got to meet and turn with 2 of the best hat makers in the country, in my opinion, Johannes Michelson and Chris Ramsey. And I said, Johannes Michelson is the original designer and creator of the wooden hat. And the first thing I got was a text from Ken Rizza. You're mistaken. Okay, what'd I do, Ken? And he says, he is not the original designer and creator. I said, well, okay. Why do you say that? He said, well, I will give Johannes Michelson credit and that he brought it into today's turning world with the tools that we have today and so forth and so on. But I was told that the first known term wood hat was by, let me think, I always forget this, William Murdoch in 1779. So I was told by one of our members at North Coast, who was doing some research on it, he went with me to Ramsey's the first time I went for a class. He said, the book is called The Lunar Men. He says, you gotta get the book and read it. So I got it, and I mean, once I started reading it, I'm a good reader, but I just hate reading. And I started reading it, and I couldn't put it down because I wanted to get to the part in this book that said William Murdoch was the first guy that ever known to turn a wooden hat. Well, it was about 1.5 pages long, midway through the book. Page 290, for those that and William Murdoch had gone for a job interview. He was a mechanical engineer. He was going for a job interview. I can't think of who he was getting the interview from, but he had a wooden hat on his finger and he was twirling it. And the guy that Bolton, something Bolton. Bolton came out and says, "What 'tis that you twirl on your finger, sir?" "'Tis a hat." "'Tis a hat of what material, may I ask?" I mean, this is the book I'm reading, these words. I mean, but then a paragraph later, it would go back to normal English. And he says, on a bit lathe of my own contriving, it's made out of timber, Timmer. That hat, from what I understand, is in a museum today in Australia. I tried to find it, to research, find something online about it. I never could, but that's what I'm told. And truthfully, I don't even know where that came from. I do have a website, and I have my hats on my website. First Ramsey made one for George W. Bush, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Charlie Daniels, 2 U.S. congressmen, the governors of Kentucky and New York. He's got a whole lot more than me. I've made 3 for Toby Keith, 1 for Garth Brooks, 1 for Ty Pennington. And the 3 for Toby Keith, he has a children's hospital in Oklahoma City called the OK Kids Corral. And the day he called me, I actually hung up on him. I was in my shop turning a hat. And the phone rang and I went over and I picked it up. "I just make stuff, what can I make for you today?" And this is the way he did it, honest to God. "This is Toby Keith of the Toby Keith Foundation, the OK Kids Corral in Oklahoma City. I come from Geneva with a population of 50 on a sunny day." I said, "Right, nice talking to you," and I hung up the phone. True story. So I went back to my hat and I'm turning, and I don't know why, but OK Kids Corral stuck in my head. So I go into my little office in my shop there, and I Googled OK Kids Corral. Lo and behold, Toby Keith Foundation, picture of a beautiful hospital. And I don't know, those of you that are familiar with St. Jude's, same thing. Treat kids for cancer, the parents can live there, nobody gets a bill, everything's free. So I called back and I got a woman by the name of Shelby Bonzel. Shelby Bonzel is his, and all I'm doing here, guys and girls, is I'm checking to make sure this is spherical, and I see I'm a little bit high right there. Other than that, I'm getting real close. Not too shabby. But anyways, I called back and I get Shelby Bonzel, and I said, good morning, Miss Bonzel. I said, I think I may have just hung up on Toby Keith. She said, is this Ron Tomash? I said, yes, ma'am. She says, you did. She said, but don't worry about it. He was laughing all the way out the door. We keep telling him, quit calling people because nobody believes it's you. Let us call, introduce you, tell them why we're calling, and then put you on the phone. You'll get a whole lot more contributions that way. No, Toby Keith asked me for something, I'm gonna send it to him. So, she said, we just spent the entire morning, me and Toby, watching your videos on your website. And I've had the New Day Cleveland show from Fox 8 News out there. They filmed me. Carl Feathers from the AshtabulaWave.org, which used to be an online magazine. Boy, we're real close here. If anything, I went just a little bit too far there, but I can correct that. And really, the only part that I really need to be spherical is the lower part that's going to be in the cup chuck. Anything beyond that, and I'm never going to come up this far. Anything beyond that, if it's off a little bit, shouldn't hurt. 40-40 grind. I love this grind. This is Stuart Batty's grind. Stuart Batty does this by hand. Now, there is a jig that is available to put this grind on using the Wolverine system. Ron Brown, ronbrownsbest.com. It's for $32, and I have one. That's his jig. When you put this on the platform, put this up against an 8-inch wheel, this goes into your Varigrind jig. That's your 40 degrees. It's pretty accurate. Now, Stuart Batty's gauges are far more accurate. And by the way, I do have those available. Stuart gave me a box of them. Says when you go do your demos, you know, they're available for purchase if you're interested. But again, Stu does his by hand, and I actually do most of mine by hand because I do the Chris Ramsey grind by hand. And you can pass this one around just to, for those of you that, that's Chris Ramsey's grind. Okay, now, here's where I like the Stuart Batty grind, the 40-40 grind. The 40-40 grind, the top is a straight line. Now, most of your, who was it, David Ellsworth swept-back grinds, they have a curve to it, either straight or curved, never concave. Concave, okay? Because that, I guarantee you'll get a catch every single time. But David Ellsworth, this is his traditional grind. Stuart Batty's is, it's straight and it's more pointed. It's 40 degrees in the front, it's 40 degrees on the side. And I do have a gauge in here that you could actually check it with if you wanted to, if you don't believe me. Or it's so close, you know what, 1 or 2 degrees, either way, it's not gonna make a darn bit of difference. So, but what I like about this is it's going to give me my dovetail. It's going to clean up that corner. And when I start hollowing out the bowl, you'll see what I can do with it in there too. One tool. And you can use, this is just like a standard bowl grind. You can hollow out a bowl with this grind. The thing that most people don't understand when you're doing a bowl, you're cutting both side grain and end grain. This is your side grain, and as you get into the bottom of the bowl, you're cutting into end grain. And a bowl gouge is the worst gouge in the world to use. You'll get tear out almost every time. It's very, very difficult not to. Usually in the transition from when you're going down to you start going across the bottom, you'll get a ring in there. And what that is, it's compression from your tool. Pushing in, you've literally compacted those fibers at that turn. Christine Hendricks, a member of this club, she called me one day and she took a picture of, how am I going to get this ring out of here? Cut it again. Forget the sandpaper, cut it again. You'll sand through it before you get rid of it. You know? So it's, I mean, you really should have, I'll tell you what, we are so close here. I'm gonna take off just a little bit at the bottom end because, yeah, and that will fix that where I went a little bit too deep here. What does Jimmy Clue say? He says, turn it up till you're nervous and then turn it up a little bit more. Now, in this particular case, we are not going to need to do that until we start doing that offset bowl. Now, I'm going to leave this bottom here. This is going to be the step. My jaws will sit on that little step. And hopefully, I got rid of right back to where I started, just about. Well, maybe, no, it won't. Yeah, this will take it out. From here to there. I actually had a guy one day say, "God, man, why are you putting those pencil marks on? You gotta sand them all out." Really? Okay. The best one I had, though, truthfully, I forget where I was doing the demo, but I had one of these on the table, displaying what I was gonna do. And the guy came in, and he saw those bowls, and when he picked them up, of course they're all one piece, he picked them up, and they're like, he's trying to pull the center one out. And I told him, me and the president of the club, he's trying to get those bowls apart. So I finally went, I says, you know what, buddy? I says, if you could get those out of these, I says, you'd be doing me a favor. I'll tell you, I'll give you $20, I said, because I don't put them together and I can't get them apart either. You should have seen him trying to get those apart. And I said, it was an earring, Prescott. It was Mark Rose, president. And he says, hey, Ron, he says, don't you think you ought to go tell him? And they did. So I went and I told him. I said, sir, it's all one piece. You'll never get them apart. Okay, I think we're going to be pretty close here. I hope. Yep, we're gonna be good. I got it, it's a little bit low right there, but it's not gonna affect anything because this is the only part that's gonna be in the cup. So, and I'm told, boy, whoever told me. You're right. I'll pull this drive out now because I don't need it anymore, and I'll pass it around. You can see, I don't remember what this cost. It wasn't terrible. Pass it around. And the two on the outside, they're threaded. So you can turn them back, get the center point in, and then so if it's an uneven surface, one will turn in more than the other. This is a Nova chuck. It's got deep jaws. And so you don't have to worry about the nub on the bottom. It's not going to bottom out. As most of you know, you just, in order for this to run true, or even a remote chance of it running true, that's as close as you can get. Seems to be okay. All right, we are going to make 1/4-inch bowls. So this is just over 8. So we're going to take about 1/2 inch. And this line will be the inside of the top bowl. This outer edge is the top of the bottom bowl. That's why I can't put the bottom on it now so it's got a flat bottom, because I'm going to turn this to turn that other bowl. So, is that going to be, you know what? Well, we'll see. If it starts to look like it's, I'm going to have to move that, but I don't want to. Now I have 2 Powermatics and I have a Vicma. And my Powermat, I don't like this banjo at all. My Powermatics, I hate the banjo. Oh, it's just terrible. So I took them both off. I still have them, but I took them both off and I bought one-way banjos. They're $389, but a difference of night and day. I'm only using this to show where my bowls are going to be. Everything else on the inside is going to go away. I need to true this up. Now, this is gonna sound stupid, but these are supposed to be two bowls that are the same, that are stacked on top of each other, like those plastic ones. Okay, so whatever kind of edge I put on one, try to put the same edge on the other. In other words, you don't want one beveled in and the other one beveled out. You're gonna know right away they're not, it's not one piece. Or you're gonna know it is one piece. That's what I meant to say. We want this to look like they are two separate bowls, period. To do it. I want to do it the fastest way humanly possible. We're going to try this and see. I think it's going to be okay. I mean, it's very, very close, but tell you what, you got more guts than I got. Then this thing is here, huh?
We'll get it all on film.
I'm sure, like I said, we've all turned bowls. But did you see the difference when I start cutting out here, how easy that goes? Because I'm cutting side grain, and as I get closer to the center, how harder it is because I'm cutting end grain. Side grain on one, end on the other. And that's why, I mean, with it as shallow as it is here, you can get a pretty good cut. You just have to slow down. Sharp tool, very slow, nice, fine cut. Better yet, use the right gouge. I don't know what, that doesn't seem to lock very well. I mean, how many of us have ever done that? I have cameras in my shop. It's a good thing I don't record anything. Again, just trying to hog out wood. Is that the way you hog out your hats? I pour out the center for mini hats. I finally got 100 mini hat planks that I've never turned. They're still soaking in the drum of water. I hate making mini hats. I really do. Not the only time I do mini hats anymore is if I do a demo. The mini hat and a demo I can do in about an hour and 10 minutes. I did that demo for via Zoom during the height of the pandemic for woodworkers of Central Ohio. And see the difference? Because I'm cutting end grain. And after one of the guys saw the demo, we drove to Geneva to turn a hat. But he wanted a full-size hat. There's two things that's causing that when you start seeing that bouncing. There's two things that are causing it. Number one, the tool is over the tool rest a little bit too far. And secondly, I'm going into end grain. It's going to make the tool bounce. The only way to prevent it, like I said, is go over to the grinder, sharpen it up, as sharp as you can, and then take a real fine cut. And then you'll get away with it. And then what I usually do, this one I didn't, after I put the grind on it, I'll put a block of wood in my V-block, and it'll move it up a little bit, and I'll just take the heel off. No rocket science there, you just go back and forth a few times and the heel's gone. Now it's rounded. That's why I like the Chris Ramsey grind. That's not it. It's out there somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's the reason I like that grind, because it is, if you look at this, it's like your finger. And this is done by hand. Now, here's another gauge that I like. This is from Todd Raines, woodturningtoolstore.com. I believe Craft Supplies, has these also. I'm not 100% sure, but they're nice because this is .85, and I wanted to make it about a half. I'm .99 there, so I'm still thicker. And these are the best calipers you really have. You can feel more than you can, and I can tell it's thicker at the bottom. But we'll fix that. And again, the only place we really have to be concerned with that is where the two bowls, basically from here to here. That's where we want it all, because that way it'll look the same. Now, if the bottom's thicker or thinner on this, you'd never know. And the one with the flat bottom is in my box here. It's in that box. You want to get it out, it's, you can pass that around. It's, if there's a wooden bowl in there, it should be right on, it should have a flat bottom on it. That's it, flat bottom. But that I did on a vacuum chuck. I put it on a vacuum chuck and I got that outer bowl to start running as true as I possibly could. And then once I did that, then I was able to turn it. Put the bottom on it. And I only did that to prove to myself that I could do it. That's all. Okay, 8.3, 8.3, 8, 8.3, pretty close. Now I'm going to use the 40-40 grind again to Because I only want this to be about a half an inch. I want 2 1/4-inch bowls. Because this has got that sharp point to it, I can enter the wood very easily. And once I've got an edge in there, I can pick it up with any gouge. All I'm really concerned about is, I like how fast this lathe stops. All right, we're at 3/4, and I'm within 1 or 2 hundredths. So, again, I would like to be half an inch. I'm at .70 all the way down to where I stopped. Now, I'm sure most of you know, in order to enter straight and get it started, this has got to be perpendicular to the face of that bowl. If you go in at an angle and you just touch that piece of wood, it's going to skate across. You're going to screw up your rim. You're going to have to make it a little bit shallower. So it's got to be straight. Now me, I like, once I've got it started, with the fine shavings I could take off with the Chris Ramsey grain. And that's, when you're doing your hats, that's how they, or the guy who's over there, he knows. That's what you gotta be able to take off. Because those hats are, I get mine about 3/32 of an inch thick. And, .69, 67, 66, 67, 68. You know what, we're gonna call that good enough. Now we're going to take out the bottom. It's not a bad cut, could be a little bit better, but we're okay.
It's 11:30, Ron, so
How much time do I have yet?
15 minutes or
15?
so.
Okay, I will push it. These are the 3/4 inch bottom bowl gouges by Doug Thompson. It's got a 60-degree angle on it. I put a secondary micro bevel on mine. It's not necessary. They're good right out of the box. Stuart Batty swears by them. Ashley Harwood now, I just saw a video yesterday. She's now selling them, and she swears by it. This gouge, it's basically designed to cut end grain. I'm not pushing at all. And what's nice about it is I got a feeling the reason we're getting that vibration is because this is not real tight in there. That tenon's exactly the size of that, so it's probably moving a little bit. I know it's what it is. But this is designed to cut end grain. And that end grain is just as smooth as it can be. So, and I was watching, like I said, Ashley Harwood's an excellent wood turner. I'll never take that away from her. She's very good at what she does. We had her at the North Coast Club, and she was an excellent demonstrator, explained herself very well. She left no questions unanswered, seriously. And her and Stuart Daddy, they turn together all the time. And Doug Thompson makes Stuart, the bottom bowl gouge for Stuart Daddy, and he is now producing his handles again too. And I believe Walton Hills, they should be out by the end of the month, or the beginning of next month at the most, at the latest. But if you use your bottom, your bowl gouge, to go down in your bowl, get this right, and then use the bottom bowl gouge to pick that up where you left off, you'll finish. And you see, I'm not pushing it. All I'm doing is turning. I'm putting it in there and I'm swinging. I'm not pushing it. My hand is on top just to hold it down, especially now because I know this bowl's moving.
Fine with everybody. We don't need to really clean up the room in much before 1 for the next demo, so I could have Ron go on further past 12 if that's fine with all of you.
That's fine.
I was going to stop doing the inside and go ahead and start doing the outside. It doesn't matter. I can.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're fine, you can go even past 12.
All right.
So
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's going to take me almost 2 hours and.
Right back home, right?
to go back home.
Yeah. So, but I have no plans today. And truthfully, whenever I do a demo, I don't plan anything for the rest of the day. Maybe my wife or girlfriend thinks differently, and my Mark, our IT guy, can. A year ago, when I started putting our audio-video system together for Lake Erie Wood Turners, a year ago I didn't know how to turn anything on. Now I have 11 cameras, 4 microphones, and we get no feedback whatsoever, and everything is recorded, and everything is in sync, and it's crystal clear. It's unbelievable. I said, oh my God, this is possible. It's, and the only thing you have to do with this gouge, this is in my way, I don't know.
You want me to take it off?
No, I can, Yeah, I can clear it up. The only thing, like I said, you have to do with this bowl gouge is you come back, pick up your grind, your cut. I like to go a little above center. And I'm not going to go ahead and finish this all the way down to the bottom. You'll be able to see the finish I have in there with this tool. That's good enough. We're going to turn it around and we're going to make the other bowl. Because the inside doesn't matter anyway. Somebody here can finish it. Whoever gets it.
I got a question, Ron.
Yes.
This is, we'll call fairly green wood. Now, as it dries, it's gonna warp. Your examples look pretty good.
The examples were all dry. The only reason, go ahead.
Could you rough it out and do like a twice
Yes.
bowl? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can do the same thing you would do for any other bowl. And then when you are ready to finish it, you true up your tenon, true up the outside, and then true up the end, and same identical thing, yes. In fact, you'll get it a lot thinner. You can get it a lot thinner. Heck did I do with my,
Your other box is over here.
no, my key for,
Put it in your box on the bottom.
that's what I thought. But I don't see it. Story of my life, you know? There it is. The worst habit I have is I'll have something in my hand and I'll need another tool. And I'll keep this in my hand to go get that tool. And then somewhere along the way, I'll set it down. And then I'll get that other tool. When I'm done with that, what the hell happened to the other one? I looked one day for my impact driver for an hour and a half. I had the wife out there helping me look. She says, "This it?" Smart ass. Okay, now we have to take that tenon off. Do I need this? I don't think so. We have to take the tenon off, so that's over there. Or the spindle lock on this?
It's screwed in from the side there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's good. Thanks. I don't care for cold jaws, but I think at my house, I think what I did do was, again, I used the vacuum chuck, but I had the inside completely finished and sanded. So when I put the chuck on there, it was okay. For demonstration purposes, I'm using this like, I've never had anything happen, just don't like it. And all of my chucks, because they're all different, I took an electric etcher and put a little arrow with O and off and open and close. And so I know which way to turn it. I did this yesterday with this size of bowl. Hopefully, there we go. Now, I don't know where I got these buttons, but they have a steel insert in them that the screw sets in. And most of them are just rubber. The more you squeeze it, the more they just squash out, you know? Wherever the hell I got those, I'm glad I did.
Most of them come with the jaws.
Huh?
Most of them come with the jaws.
Yeah, but the ones that I don't know. I know the smaller one I have in there, those came with those jaws, and they're just rubber, and I mean, if you can barely snug it up, and they just start squashing them out.
I think the one-way though does come with those metal,
Oh, who does?
the one-way.
Okay, that's probably where I got them. I think what I don't like about this is this thing up here, because you go up there and ram it to get it snug or something, you're gonna smash your knuckles. Because I guess that's for a light or something? I don't know.
That's for the guard.
Oh, okay,
It's for the guard.
okay. Again, this is my very first time on the book. I think we're gonna be pretty darn close there. And it's so hard to get it to run through with these jaws, but I think that's going to be okay. Now, this is a little tricky because you want this to be complete your sphere, and it's going to be somewhere in that tenon, and there's really no way to check that while you're doing it. Strictly by eye, and then when you get it down, you can put your template on it, and hopefully when we start turning that second mold, it will tell us whether we're spherical or not. And so far, guys, it looks like you're going to have two blanks.
I don't think anyone here will complain, Ron.
It's a little bit heavy right in here again. Another thing you can do is a piece of PVC pipe, cut off an inch or two. And that's probably in that box too. But anyways, you just take that round piece of pipe and move it around. You can see where you have spaces where it's high and low. That will show you. I do that when I make my baseballs at the Cuyahoga County Fair in Berea. We're there demoing every year. Actually, they pay us. They pay the club to be there. and they pay us well. And what we do is we turn bats, tops, baseballs, and we give them to the kids. Now, I'm actually getting paid they're paying me outside of the club to turn hats. I have to turn a hat every day. But I'm allowed to sell too, so that's cool. I use a piece of PVC, 2-inch PVC when I make a baseball, and I keep going around, and I can tell if it's spherical.
Pat, did we lose the
There we
camera?
go. That's good. Okay, now, the part I don't like is taking this away, but we have no choice. Like I said, I just do not like these jaws. Recommended maximum RPM on these jaws is 1,000. I'm at 870. Not gonna go anymore. And I'm gonna turn it off while I take this away. Okay, we're good at the bottom, and that's all that I'm concerned about. You guys tell me, is that spherical? A little bit of a nub there yet?
There's a little nub, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna try and get rid of that. Little bit yet, but you know, that's not gonna bother anything because, all right. I did it again.
Lost your key.
You know, I have a little tray that I made that sits here, and I meant to bring that, forgot. Okay, I know which way to turn it because it says on my open. And again, I didn't finish the bottom in there, but whoever gets this can finish it. It'll be a challenge for you. Somewhere else I can put this? Try that. I'm probably gonna need it though to get this off. By the way, whenever you go to take off your chuck, if you can't get it off with just a quick snap, don't try any harder. You can damage the machine. You know, lock it up somehow, get a pipe wrench or something on there. I mean, if it's that tight. I've only had that happen to me one time, but what am I doing now? Oh, okay. I thought I screwed up. I actually did damage my spindle on one of my Powermatic lathes and had to replace it. I damaged my tailstock on my Vic Mark, same thing. I couldn't get that live center off, so I'm ramming it with. Don't ever do that. I had to buy a whole new quill. Yeah, that's right. So if something doesn't go find out why. Now, everybody knows what a cup chuck is, made out of a piece of wood. I brought an extra piece of wood in case I needed it. And ironically, you almost have to true these up every time you use it, because if you take it out of a chuck and put it back in the chuck, even if you mark the number 1 jaws, inevitably, it's not going to be perfect. So I just plan on, it's scrap wood anyway, just plan on truing it up each time. Now, the only place you want this touching is on that outer edge. So you can put your bowl in here like this. You can see I'm not going to be touching anywhere but on the edges. So you want that to be deep enough so that this does not bottom out. And what you're looking for is that to be a good fit all the way around. And I'll tell you what, we are right there. Okay? So, now the question is, how much of an offset do we want? I had one guy tell me, you know what, make it 2 inches. You know what? No, I don't think so.
Why not 2 inches?
I'm sorry?
Why not 2 inches?
That's really offset.
The bottom bowl's gonna be about an inch deep.
That would be like that. That's about 2 inches. And that's down inside the bowl, which can be done. Okay? Todd had a couple of them as samples that he showed on the demo that he did. It was on Vimeo, and you cannot record Vimeo, but 4K, what's that called, Mark?
4K downloader?
Download it. You can do it. And I have that video on my computer. I can't transfer it anywhere. I can't put it on anything else to show it. It's got to be in that, it's in that 4K downloader software. So I can watch it on my laptop, or I can plug it in HDMI and put it on my TV. So that works. But rubber chucky. I bought a bunch of these. What was his name?
Don Doyle.
That's it, Don Doyle. I met him at the symposium in Cincinnati. And you don't have to use rubber chucky. You can use a block of wood. You can use a golf ball, drill a 3/4 inch hole on it, and put it on the end. That's all. You just need something to, this is what's driving it, not this. That's just keeping it there. And the one thing I didn't think about, that's going to be pushing against that nut. It's not going to hurt anything, but again, it's like, how much of an offset do we want? Me, I like it just enough to make you think it's 2 bowls, period.
You could put a pencil line on it for reference to see.
I'm sorry?
You could put a pencil line on it to see.
Yeah, well, guess what? We have a nub in the middle, so
Right.
that's gonna, that's right where that pencil circle would be. Did you see Todd's demo or video? That's what he did. Personally, again, I think that's way too much. Anybody disagree?
We have to be knowledgeable to be able to disagree.
Isabel! She's seen me do these, so. Now, all right, I'll tell you what, that's quite a bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And you can get an idea where your bowl is going to be. It'll give you a ballpark reference. Okay, if we put the bowl, I want the top bowl to be outside of the bottom bowl. I don't want it to be down inside. I'm asking for, I haven't practiced that enough. I'm asking for too many problems in front of an audience. So we're gonna do what I've already done. And I'm gonna make, this side is gonna be about 1/4 inch. And this side will be about 1 inch. So it's 3/4 inch offset. Okay? Everybody see that? So you can, if you're not happy with that and you're at home and you want to try it with one of the blanks I leave you, change it. Experiment. Do it a little bit more. Do it so much as the one of them goes down inside. Todd did a 3 bowl on that video that I saw. He did 3 bowls. And it worked. He had one going one way and the other one going just the opposite of that. You know? Now we need to divide this approximately again. This is supposed to be 2 bowls. So I probably, well, I could do it for you. I should have done this when I was in the front. Works this way too. Okay. 2 bowls. Don't want to try 3. I don't even want to try 3 at home. Maybe someday when I'm bored, got nothing to do with the girlfriend, and she's always got something for me to do. Last year I had to side the house. She said, well, I'll give you $2,000 towards the siding if you'll side it. I was in the business of siding for 15 years. I said, all right. I had to side the house. Cost $6,000, but she gave me 2. That was swell of her. Again, this is where I do like the 40-40 grind.
Yeah.
She wanted a metal roof on the house, but I told her, I said, Dad, I'm not doing. I hired the Amish and let them do it. They walked around that roof like a bunch of little ants. And a day later, I had a steel roof. All right, now, everybody knows we're cutting here. We're going to be cutting air, wood, air, wood, air, wood. All right? And then once you get down close to the line, we're going to be in solid wood. And you'll be able to tell the difference by the sound. When you're cutting air, wood, the best thing is speed is your friend. Okay? I don't envy telling people, oh yeah, crank it up, because if something happens, you say, yeah, stupid Tomash. You know? If you do, just please be careful. But you'll get a much better intermittent cut the faster you're going. You're getting less resistance from the tool onto the wood, and you'll get a smoother cut. Okay? And then the other thing, and I didn't even realize this till just yesterday when I watched this video again. I told you this. Boy, this is a really wet piece of wood. What Todd did, which made sense, he rode the bevel so he went off, then in. We're down to solid wood there. I'm not worried about the rest of it yet. I do the same thing. Ride the bevel out, because you really can't see that.
Are you using the point or the wing?
I'm using the point.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I said, that's why I like this grind. I have a wing if I want it. I use the wing to put the tenon on and to put my dovetail on my tenon. I use the point to get in the corner, and I use the flat blade to get the pad flat for the jaws. Excellent tool, excellent grind. And you know what? There is a learning curve with this grind. But it's just like a skew chisel. A lot of people use that for a paint can opener. Once you learn how to use a skew chisel, it's one of the finest tools you can use. I mean, there's some people, what's his name?
Laser?
Richard Graffin. That's all he uses.
Alan Laser, yeah.
Huh?
Alan Laser?
Yeah, Alan Lacer, yeah. And, but there's others out there that'll tell you, throw them away. They're screwdrivers.
They made good spiral tools.
Huh?
They made good spiral tools.
I'm sorry.
They made good spiral tools.
Yeah. Stuart Batty's father, and I guess there's 3 generations of Batty, if I'm not mistaken. 3, 4. Stuart Batty's father swears by the skew. His skew, and I have one, it's 1.5 inches wide, and the first 1/4 inch is perfectly straight like a chisel. Negative rate because it's ground on both sides, and then after 1/4 inch, the rest swirls down. And Stuart Batty's father, that's all he uses. And Stuart Batty says, you can throw that stuff. Now here's where, if we're not running true, you're going to see the difference here. But so far, we look like we're pretty. What we're trying to do, we're going to try to follow the exact same contour as this outer bowl, so they look the same. So that I can set it on the table and watch somebody try to pull them apart. I'm actually going to turn this up just a little bit more after I check this to make sure we're pretty close. And we only have to go to that line. Then there's one other little trick to give you the illusion that it's 2 bowls. Now I have a straight face on the top bowl, the inner bowl, so I want a straight face on the bottom bowl. We are very, very close. I think we're going to be okay. Don't get aggressive here, guys or girls. If you do, you'll pay the price. Take your time, keep checking. Doesn't cost anything to turn that switch off and turn it back on. And we are even with our pencil line all the way around. So we're going to be right on as far as thicknesses being even. Unless I screw up the last couple cuts. Now what Todd did to get his nice and clean is he used a skew chisel, used it as a negative rake scraper, scraped it a little bit, but he scrapes the inside of his bowls, the outside of his bowls, everything. I don't like to scrape. I just don't. I mean, if I have to. You know, it's funny because people say, well, if you got a sand, you're not a wood turner. I don't know, but in my book, I went to high school and I took wood shop. I was taught sandpaper is a cutting tool. Am I right?
Yep.
And the reason you go from one grit to another is because you use the next grit to get the scratches out from the previous grit. And don't think when you use a piece of sandpaper for a period of time that it gets finer because you wore some of it up. It does not. Okay, and the other thing is, don't skip grits. Don't go from 180 or 80 to 180. The general rule of thumb, if you use an 80, divide that in half, that's 90. Add 80 and 90, that you shouldn't go any higher than that. The next one, 120 plus 60 is 180. That's the general rule of thumb. Now, I am not going to use the speeder to clean this up. I'm just going to use my favorite grind. One more cut here, and this is done. Just hold on to your tool. You don't have to hold it tight. It ain't going nowhere. Some people, you know, man, you turn like that for 15 minutes and you're going to wish you hadn't turned at all. We got to do one more cut because this inner ball is a little bit thicker than it. So let's just do one more. Close enough. Good enough. Now, normally too, number one, it wouldn't be wet, so it'd be dry and you'd be sanding as you did the first bowl, sand the inside, sand the outside. Then when you do this, this is all you'd have to sand. It's all that's left. Okay? Almost done. Still made pretty good time, huh? Point tool, handmade. This is an old screwdriver from Harbor Freight. Get the high-speed steel if you're going to use your CBN wheels to sharpen it. And that's all I have. I have 80, 180, 350, 600. That's all I have. I don't have a stone. Well, I do have one stone wheel, but it's for scrap steel, you know, scrap metal. But their screwdrivers are hardened steel too. Pull it out of its handle, because I hate the handle, make your own, and sharpen it to a 3-sided point. And what's nice about this is if you're going to put decorative rings in the bottom of your bowl or something, if you turn it one way, you get a finer point. If you turn it with one of the diamond sides up, you get a wider point. So you get a wider little ring. My bowls, normally my signature, I have 2 rings on the outside, one about an inch diameter in the middle. Then I do have a little gold, well, it's black, but it's gold underneath, and they're laser engraved with my company logo, this one here. And I stick that on the bottom in that 1-inch hole. I take a Forstner bit and I just put a little, I mean, thousandths of an inch or whatever it is. And okay, so we want this to look, right now that looks like one piece of wood, okay? And if you put 2 bowls together, when you look at the side, you see a shadow line. So you know it's 2 bowls. You do the same thing here. What I have done is after I've done this, I've taken a piece of Formica from a big box store and shoved it in, you sharpen it to a point, shove it in there and burn it. Because you're not going to get a burning wire in there. If you do, you're going to put a ring around this bowl here. You just wanted to find, whoa! You wanted to find where I should know better. You wanted to find, here's another thing. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, we're at 1,000, that's good. Can I turn that what? Just for a minute?
That's not
Yes,
plugged in.
we don't
I
have
don't think.
exactly.
Okay, can I do this just for a second?
Yeah, the camera ain't working anyway.
Oh, okay, well, there we go. I just want to make sure I get in the corner. You can use the skew chisel for this if you want, point down. That's all there is to it. There's a shadow line in there. Now remember, normally, given more time, I would have easily finished up the inside completely, okay? I should have at least taken that nub off, I didn't even think about that, but it worked. And I would have sanded everything along the way. This has got, you can feel a little bump there. You could have sanded that out. But it's heavy for two reasons. The bottom is thick, and number two, it's wet. But it's a ball in a bowl, just like those. And that one is offset more than, and if you just set that at a table and somebody walked in, they'd swear it's two bowls.
Nice job.